Yeah.
Oh, and don't forget, guys, the team competition. And I didn't watch any of the team competition, really, but I do remember one thing that was lots of fun was Mr. Sourpuss.
Mr. Sourpuss. Oh, right.
Rich,
we need to talk about that.
There's actually a couple pieces of stuff to talk about here. So one is
we were joking before he went out there about he's not going to be happy to be a second.
No.
It was hilarious how transparently not happy he was standing there. So
he is the most competitive human on the planet.
Yeah.
So like, honestly, for the next like 3 months, he's gonna be like dunking on his child.
Yeah.
Just like, I fucking win. I'm the winner.
Did that feel like a silver medal dunk
you
to
think
you,
a
bitch?
second place motherfucker is gonna do that shit? I won. Yeah. So he's
this morning he was eating his granola while wearing all of his previous gold medals.
Yeah. He sent out a group text to everyone on CrossFit Mayhem. Dear team, fuck you. First silver place in 7 years.
We were joking that like he's been super happy and content, and now he's going to go back to individual competition.
He's definitely not going back to individual competition.
You guys have all let me down. I'll have to do this myself.
No,
he'll enter as a team by himself.
He would still not be last, by the way, if he did that. Rich Froning is such a competitive human being and also has no ability to hide that.
No.
And so that was 100. That's one thing that I really like about him. That was 100% his honest reaction. Was fuck this.
Yeah.
This sucks. You can tell he was so upset, and not in like a oh man second place. He was like, I can't fucking believe this.
I can't believe I'm here. Yeah. And like he had that I'm trying to keep it together pursed mouth frown of just
yeah.
And then like the best part was when they tried to do the champagne thing. He walked to the end of the podium and just leaned out of the way, with, like clasping his hands in front of him. Oh,
and
he
you bet a drop of champagne must have touched him there. And how hard did he scrub that away?
Yes. Fucking loser.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be just months of him rubbing every win in people's faces just to win it back. But no, I don't know. I think my understanding was Rich's plan was to get 4 years of team competition and then retire completely. So I don't think this changes his plan of doing another year of team competition. I think what it does is he
will euthanize his team.
Yeah, I think
he has a whole new team.
Well, his entire team has imploded. So all 3 women already had said that this was the last year they're competing because all 3 of them had moved to Cookeville to compete with his team.
And they're sick of his crap.
I mean, I don't know if they're sick of his crap. They just have other shit to do, I guess. But at this point, Rich Froning can pull whoever the fuck he wants to
Quick
Cookeville.
question, will Sarah be on the team next year?
Sarah will continue to compete individual, but I think Dan might move back to Cookeville. I think Dan might move back to Cookeville. I think he's probably going to try. I think, honestly...
Get Hobart back on the team?
If you... I don't know if Hobart will go back to Cookeville because I think he's happy being back home. But I imagine what happened with, James Hobart moved to Cookeville in 2013, trained all year with Rich, qualified for the 2014 games, lived in Cookeville again for another 2 years, and then moved to the team on 15 and 16. I think the same thing's going to happen. I think he's going to pull, someone who finished on the bottom 15 or the bottom 20 on the men's side, and like 1 or 2 of those athletes are going to move to Tennessee and compete with him. And why wouldn't they? Same thing on the women's side. The Lindy Barber did that. She qualified individually a bunch of times, never really broke past the top 20, and was like, all right, well, I can fucking win the CrossFit Games, and that's not easy to do. I can win the fucking CrossFit Games
on a team.
Yep. So I think the team that Rich is going to put together is going to be pretty significant. I also think that Rich is hurt, and that he is going to be probably fixing some severe issues with his body over the next few months.
And what makes you think that?
Yeah, I know that he's hurt, and I know he's going to be fixing those things.
You hear that, Vegas?
Yeah.
You hear that?
Yeah.
Injured.
So I think once he heals up, that he's gonna be back to his old self.
So much stress for a competition that no one actually watches.
Yeah.
The affiliate.
It's kind of crazy.
Cup. Do you think we'll see Josh Bridges on Team Mayhem all the way from
California.
I think Bridges likes living in San Diego, but I also wouldn't put it past Rich to put the good dudes together. Can you imagine if Mayhem was the good dudes?
Just like roasting coffee and making
fun of Dan Bailey.
That's right.
Just like, all right, Dingleberry, let's do this.
Hey guys, stop talking to me like that. Shut up, Dan. All right, guys.
Oh, jeez, Rich.
Oh, jeez, Rich. You want to be a winner, don't you? Oh, jeez, Rich.
Listen up, Dan. You gotta.
So I think the team that Rich brings to the 2018 CrossFit Games is gonna be pretty fucking stacked.
Yeah.
I suspect that 4 of the 6 are gonna be individual level competitors out of the past 2 years.
Yeah. Cool.
And then on the other side of Sourpuss is Matt Fraser.
Yes.
Did you guys see his post-event interview after he won?
No.
Let me spin a story for you.
I did, but go on.
Wait, I did see the interview, but I'm not.
Matt Fraser wins that last event, right? He wins his heat. He gets like 3rd place or whatever. He's already won the CrossFit Games. He won it on Saturday. He showed up on Sunday to just steal everyone's fucking souls.
Yep.
And so, he like comes over. They do all those post-event interviews, which were all really bad. They were all really subpar. I mean, like the people that they pulled for the sideline interviewing, they need to like coach them up for next year because their interview skills just were lacking.
Tia's immediate post-win interview was really weird,
weird.
Because it was just like they were getting all this good stuff of her over by like the team and like hugging people and all this other stuff, and they pulled her over and I don't know who the fuck was doing the interview, but just weird questions that were hard to answer, and she was emotional and like clearly like wanted to be back over by the other girls. She wanted to be back with the other girls, and she was like, so this year you're talking about, and she's like, what? Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, it's really great to have just won 15 seconds ago. I'd like to head back over there. I mean, just ask, like, how do you feel? Isn't this great?
Well, she was trying to probe her about her getting
wedding.
married.
You're trying to lead her into this.
One little bit of knowledge in the small walnut brain of the interviewer there. And she's like kept trying to get her to, and Tia wasn't interested in talking about that really.
Yeah.
And then at the end, she like passive aggressively was like, "And you're fucking getting married, Tia. See you later." And like, "Oh yeah, that too."
That
like,
too.
Man, who gives a shit? She's really fucking excited for having won the CrossFit Games. Anyway,
CBS people.
No, those were CrossFit people. And so, well, I don't know, but they've been around in the games in the past. Okay. Anyway, so Matt Fraser wins. He gets congratulated. He gets pulled over for this interview, and like before the interview starts, he like kind of leans over and he whispers something in the guy's ear, but the guy doesn't hear what he's saying. No one hears what he's saying, and he just comes back, and the guy's like, "So you just won the CrossFit Games. Like, how does it feel?" And he's like, "This is the feeling that I train for every year. Like, you guys see me happy right now, and it's like this is why I put myself through all that hard work and all that pain." And then the guy pulls the mic back and he goes, you've been around the games for a long time. Historically, your win last year was very dominant. This year, it's even more dominant. And you can see Matt's face, like, just turning to fury, like, just starting to get pissed. And the guy goes, what do you think about your wins, like, historically, about, where it fits in the history of the games? And Matt's like, I try and take it just one event at a time, one competition at a time. I'm not really worried about, what it all means or anything like that. And the guy pulls the mic away, and Matt Fraser from like away from the mic is like, "Don't ask me about Rich." And we have a fucking gif of it. You can read his lips and look at his face and tell me that's not the most angry human being you've ever seen in your entire life. If he had said, "Don't ask me about Rich," and the guy had said, "So, Rich Froning," Matt Fraser would have just torn his throat out of his neck like fucking Rambo.
They would have done the cool thing where like you take the head, and you spin it, and you rip off but clean rip off off the shoulders.
Matt Fraser,
Roadhouse style.
Matt Fraser there was so much spite and fury inside of his soul at that moment because he just fucking won the CrossFit Games in the most dominant fashion possible, and people are like, "What about fucking Rich Froning, dude?" Like, listen, man, he's not just his own guy. He's his own fucking legend.
Yeah, he would have. I think that this year definitely puts any ambiguity to bed about whether. I mean, there's no Rich Froning performance at the games that could have topped Matt either of these years. And
not even close.
2 years in a row, it's pretty clear. So now he just needs to stick around for 2 more years.
The question. So I wrote this whole article about it, but the question people should be asking isn't Froning versus Fraser. The question they should ask is Fraser going to stop at 5?
Yeah.
Because he's going to fucking go for 5. You
He's
know
gonna
for
go
a
for
fact
5?
he's going to go for 5.
Yeah, but he has that lead that 2-year lead time of like this is now his 4th year.
Yeah.
You know? and so that would be he would have to go to
7 years of
So,
competitive dominance in order
yeah.
to do it. It would be the craziest fucking. It would be like a Lance Armstrong-esque like 6 Tour de France in a row.
Yes, but with balls.
But with both balls.
Yes. Potentially gold bonded.
Yes.
We're not sure yet.
Yeah. The gold bond story.
That's a major sponsorship opportunity.
Yeah,
Seriously.
100%.
Yes.
10% gold bond.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Matt Fraser, we talked about this very briefly beforehand, but the CrossFit Games are not the games they were when Rich Froning was competing.
Yeah.
The same way that Rich Froning changed the way that people are competing for the CrossFit Games, Matt Fraser has completely changed the way that people are competing at the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
And Matt Fraser's wins have been coming in a completely different era. Froning was winning against the best in 17 regions.
Yeah.
Matt Fraser is dominating against the best in 8 super regions and will continue to dominate every year he decides to compete.
Yeah.
For as long as he's competing, people won't be able to touch him unless something major happens.
That is the thing, though.
Well,
something
some
could
young
happen.
whippersnapper could come out of nowhere.
Here's the
blah,
thing.
blah.
Yeah.
With Froning, we saw, Matt Fraser qualified for the CrossFit Games in 2014, and immediately you looked at him, you're like, that guy's going to win the CrossFit Games someday. The same thing, you saw Ben Smith in 2009, 2010, you're like, that kid, once he becomes a man, is going to win the fucking CrossFit Games. And look what happened. He grew lats.
Yes.
And fucking Ben Smith won the
He
CrossFit
just
Games.
thickened up. Ironically, I think Ben Smith is very that era is very similar to Alex Smith now, because Ben Smith was a super skinny little kid, but he had a 365-pound overhead squat.
Yeah.
It's like, where does the strength come from? How can he put it
His
together?
dick.
What it turned
Yeah.
out, he just had to thicken out.
Yeah.
It's the girth, not the length.
Alex Smith was impressive this year. He has the raw talent to be a podium guy.
Yeah.
I think
But
mentally,
he's a thinner penis of a person. He's a thinner penis of a person. Is that what we're
mentally,
saying?
I think Alec needs to
strange turn.
put his competitions together better.
Yes.
I think that's a big.
Yeah.
That's something that he can really learn from Ben. And I think that's something that he really needs
But
to
it's
work on.
also
learning from
possible
Ben.
that he, is incredibly gifted at gymnastics and strength and stuff, but that he'll just physiologically will never have the engine that a Ben Smith has. I mean, can you make that? I mean, he made it to the CrossFit Games. He clearly has an engine, but is it a training thing or is it just the fact that that missing ingredient that separates the guy who qualifies for the CrossFit Game from the guy who wins the CrossFit Games is maybe just not there.
Possibly. I don't know if the more I watch these guys compete, the more I watch these guys train, the more I watch them and the more I talk to them, the less that I believe that these differences when you make it to the CrossFit Games are physical, and the more I believe that they're mental.
Interesting.
The thing that separates Matt Fraser from everyone else isn't necessarily that he's more physically gifted. He might be. I mean, listen, he had years of weightlifting experience under his belt. He had years of competitive experience under his belt. He obviously has a natural inclination for this specific sport. That's clear from the get-go because you're not that good at CrossFit from the very beginning unless you already have some of that like good mix of fast and slow twitch. But the man works harder than everybody else. He puts in more hours than everybody else. He sacrifices more of his normal life than everybody else.
He's still living in his parents'
He
basement.
lives in his parents' basement.
Still.
He trains 9 hours a day. The man probably made close to $1 million in the past 2 years just off of winnings and bonuses. So it's like the guy lives, breathes, and dies by his ability to be better at CrossFit than everybody else. And that's what it takes.
You hear that, world?
So it's like
that's why you didn't make it to the games.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's fucking fine. You know what I mean? Like and so mentally his capacity to just wake up and do the work every day, like that fucking shitty, like, all right, I'm going to row 5 1000s right now. All right, I'm gonna go do like 50 squats.
Yeah.
Like
it's true. I'm probably never going to do that ever again for the rest of my life.
What's the fucking point?
Why would I row 5 1000s in a row?
So that's the thing. Like people look, his ability to just be, this is a weakness of mine. This is a priority of mine to fix it, and therefore this will no longer be a weakness. Is unmatched. A lot of people will make excuses or fall off the bandwagon. Matt Fraser is on the bandwagon 100% of the time, and that's a huge difference. And so, that's what separates him from everybody else. His ability to just understand, focus, and commit to fixing the things that are going to topple him. And so, until someone else can fucking do that, people aren't going to beat him. And
there's a lot of guys living in a lot of parents' basements.
That's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why Rich Froning should never come back to individual.
Yeah.
He doesn't have. There's no reason for him to. He has fucking kids. He has a wife.